How can you build a great resume? What should be the structure of the resume? What should you include? What should you not include? What are the mistakes that most people make? This is what we'll be discussing in today's video. Welcome to this video, guys. I am Ishan Sharma, and with me today I have Puneet, who is a software engineer at Apple USA. He has worked at a lot of companies and he has also mentored a lot of people. He has seen hundreds of resumes, and so he will be sharing his own experience, his own tips for how can you build an amazing resume. Now at the very end of this video, we will also be sharing with you a free resume template. The link to that would be in the description. Take a look at that. And also I want to tell you that the timestamps would be in the description, so you can move around as you like. Make sure that you hit that like button and also share this video with your friends. That would be amazing. And now let's get started with this podcast episode. So the biggest question, let's just start with the first one, and that would be, how can someone create a great structure for their own resume?
So resumes are, it's a structured document, correct? So there's always a structure to it. I've looked at thousands of resumes in my career, and what I really like about resumes is I think of it as a movie, right? And think of yourself as a movie. Think of your resume as the trailer, right? And then nowadays we're in this world where everybody's watching TikTok videos and Insta Reels, right? Which is just 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So I like to think of your headline in the resume as your TikTok video. So basically, in terms of, as you asked, right, how do you get people interested in your resume and whatnot? So when you have this summary section, which a lot of people don't have in the resume, which tells me as the reader in one or two sentences something about your background that's really interesting. So that could be as simple as, hey, I'm Ishan Sharma. I have a YouTube channel with this many subscribers. I'm also, an engineer pursuing this subject, and I'm looking to find so and so type of opportunities. Something even as simple as that. It just without me having to read this whole page, or sometimes even 2 pages, or some people might go crazy and make 3 and 4 pages long resumes, and without having to read that document, I now understand who you are. I don't need to go through this whole document. So first, that's what we like to see in terms of structure. After that, now it depends. If you're a student, we obviously want to know, and when I say we, I'm collectively referring to anyone that really looks at resumes, or reads resumes, reviews resumes, things like that. So the next section, if you're a student, obviously is education. Where do you study? What's your year? Things like that. If you're not a student, then education can go more towards the bottom side of the resume. And then next is skills. So what are your hard skills? If you're an engineering student, for example, software engineering or computer science, then you would write things like programming languages that you're knowledgeable in, or you would write about databases, you would write about different libraries that you're using. If you're specifically interested in web development, for example, and this is just an example, then tell me all those core skills that you have related to web development. Similarly, your niche or your interest could be in say building Android apps, right? So now I would like to know, if I'm evaluating you for an Android role, which Android libraries have you worked with, right? And imagine that I, on the other side, if I'm looking at your resume for this role, I'm basically an expert in so-and-so field to some degree. So if you go to the level of libraries, frameworks, specific implementations, then that gives me confidence that you know this subject. So we go into skills, right? And we can talk more about the skills in detail later. And then obviously work experience. So if you've done internships, part-time jobs, freelancing, full-time jobs, all of that comes under work experience, and there's a specific way to write your work experience. And then next section that I really like to see is the projects. And the projects can be personal projects, such as something you made on your own, like an app, a website, or even just started a YouTube channel. That's a project, right? Something that you've really initiated on your own, and whatever the outcome was, that doesn't matter. It's just that we want to see the passion, the enthusiasm that you've brought in your own life. And then academic projects can also be noted down in the resume. So anything which you did for a course, or things like that. Then of course any sort of, let's say, side freelancing projects, volunteering projects, and all of that. Yeah.
One more question was that, can we mention open source contributions? Let's say I was contributing to some repository
Yeah,
that's
I
really
was just
famous
gonna
and
get to
all.
that. So that's like the next type of project you can write,
Yeah.
is the open source contributions, right? If you're a developer, you're contributing to open source, that is something that you can write in your resume. Now, if you've like done tons and tons of open source and you have now like 20 projects that you can talk about, so either pick and choose, right? Choose one or two that you think will stand out in your resume, or you can even summarize and say like open source contributor contributed to so many number of projects, and I have this many stars on GitHub.
And we can have that hypertext
Yes, of
links
course.
to all of them.
Links are important. You
Hyperlinks.
can link your GitHub
Mhm.
profile as well as some of the projects you've contributed to. So these are, some type of projects that people write about. People write like if they've, joined like a robotics club. So something that they would have done with the club is also something they write, things like that. And so after the project section, now this is kind of like free territory, right? So until now, like all these sections were kind of somewhat required. Of course, nothing is required in life, but more or less general sections. And then after this, now it's kind of up to you. So let's say you're someone who won a lot of awards for, various activities, like you're good in sports, you're good in debate. So then you can write a section about your awards.
What does
Or
that
let's
tell
say
to
you're
the
really
recruiter
into-
that is trying to hire you? Like, if I talk about that, I was in this debating club, and does
Mhm.
that hold any importance? Because what I've heard is that people say that you should only mention things that are relevant to that particular job, so you wouldn't really want to do that.
So I'll tell you how it's relevant, right, Ishan? Most importantly, again, you've already covered up till this point all your like professional stuff, correct? Work experience, skills, summary. We've already nailed down the professional stuff. So by this point, assuming you have space left, it's all bonus, right? Like if you still have space in your resume, it's bonus. Now, what does, talking about debate club or sports activities tell about you as a person? First, it shows me that, you have some life outside of work and education, which again, that itself is not an indicator of anything, right? Because you might be like extremely good in debate, but then you're not good at your actual work that you're trying to do. But what it does tell is that, this person does go out of like one zone. They're able to do other things. Now, if you're good in like sports and debate, right, then in my mind I would say, okay, well, this is like a multi-talented person, or they're able to juggle multiple things. So these are like soft indicators, right? So your core skills are your hard indicators. They tell me like, okay, this person has done 2 internships in some startup companies, and in one they worked in Java, one they worked in Python, right? So they know at least somewhat Java, Python. But all these things are soft indicators. So I think another way to put it is, it also, in a way, like if you say that now I was the head of the debate club, or I was the head of some department in my college fest, so that now shows leadership skills, which are not something that we see immediately in the resume. But when you say, I was the head of so and so club, then that gives us an indicator that, okay, this person also has leadership skills. It also talks about your soft communication skills. So like being in the debate club itself, that's just an indicator that this person probably has some level of good communication, because they're debating. And again, if you like, you can make hundreds and permutation combinations, but everything you say is like a data point. So the more data we have about you, the more good indicators we get about the personality.
Next question would be, do certificates really matter, and should we be mentioning our certificates that we have gotten from like Coursera or Udemy and stuff like that onto the resume?
Yeah. So do certificates really matter? I think Coursera, Udemy, all these certificates that you pointed out, those can help your profile in a very significant way, depending on what the rest of your resume and background looks like. I can give you an example. Let's say you are a software engineer at so and so company, and now you're interested in building a profile towards machine learning, right? and you haven't done any, during your university, that time maybe machine learning wasn't so popular, so you didn't take any courses. Obviously, right now you're working as a, let's say, backend software engineer, so you don't have that machine learning work experience either, but you would like to get into machine learning. So in such a scenario, having a course from Udemy, Coursera, or wherever is actually very, very useful. It shows that, hey, look, I'm interested in this role, and here's some coursework that I've done to prove that I'm interested, and this is like something I'm trying to do. The case where it won't be that useful is if you're say a student and you've done a course in databases, and then you went to Coursera and did another course in databases. Like, unless you're trying to really show that you're trying to be a database expert, it may not be that valuable, there's a few other scenarios I can think of. Courses, and then let's say you're trying to enter a field which actually has a very heavy requirement of doing certifications. So one example is cybersecurity. Another example is project management, right? Both these fields are like very heavy on certificates. So you have to have certain certificates. So in that case, it's very useful. And then one type of certificate that people often ask about, are those worth mentioning in your resume, is like the certificate that you get after you attend some hackathon or after you attend some guest lecture. Sometimes they give you certificates. Those are not useful, right? Like, you can talk about your hackathon
certificate of participation
experience.
and all.
Yeah, certificate of participation. That's not really useful. In like very few cases, it may be, again, very dependent on what that certificate is. But in most scenarios, you should just avoid writing that. It's just, fluff.
What are some common mistakes that people make when they are starting to create their own resume, according to your experience from taking a look at so many other resumes that you have?
Yeah. I think if I have to pinpoint the mistakes, I would say, especially at the like fresher new grad level, the number one mistake is thinking that just saying what you did, is enough. Like, for example, I've seen like new grad resumes where they've done an internship, right? This person has spent 3 months or 4 months or 2.5 months at some company, and they'll say, wrote Java application. Okay, great. Right, like, thanks. But I've seen many like that. So I think that's the number one thing I would say is a mistake, because like, you've done something, you've worked on something, you definitely spent months at that place. So it's not like you just went there, wrote a Java application and came back. But with just that amount of information, I can't do anything, right? Like, to me as a reader, okay, you wrote Java application, but this other candidate, let's say, who worked at the same company, at the same team, everything else is the same, said something like, wrote Java application for healthcare sector, which did, XYZ thing, and I used these libraries, and it also, let's say, I also wrote testing, which reduced bugs by 10%. Right, so something like this, more details, but not like crazy amount of details. Where I've also seen resumes where somebody would say, wrote a Java-based application using Java 8, and it has features of searching for, user, creating user, deleting user, updating user. Like, we don't need to know that much detail, right? You could have simply said it's like a CRUD application.
Yeah.
So not
and then
not
link
too
it to the
little
GitHub
detail.
repository.
Right, and link to the GitHub if you have one. And then not too much, not too much detail, and not too little, but like just having, the right amount of detail is essential. And that's what a lot of people do get wrong. Not just for work experience, but for projects. People, like, if someone gave a suggestion to like write the courses you've done, I've seen resumes where people will list down every single course they've done from their first year to their final year. And that's not what someone meant when they asked you to write down your courses.
Yeah.
So really, it's understanding like the context of why this resume is important. What does the other person get out of this? Why is it that every company is asking me for a resume? right? It's not to hear that you've made Java application. It's to understand a little bit more, get some context of who is this person, what is their strong suits, what are they good at, at least what can we identify quickly about this person and whether or not they fit my role. Basically that.
All right. Tell me more about what faangpath is and what do you do over there?
Sure, yeah. faangpath is an initiative started by Nikita Gupta. So she's like a LinkedIn, superstar. She has like crazy amount of followers on LinkedIn, and it's basically an initiative for people like myself who have gone through this whole process multiple times, both as an interviewee and an interviewer, to sort of give feedback, give suggestions to people in the community who are looking for help, both on resumes, LinkedIn, and more generally any sort of career counseling or guidance. So that's what we do. I'm very active in terms of helping out with resumes. So I do help many candidates improve their resumes. Candidates I've worked with have got interviews at companies like Amazon, Apple, Facebook, etc. Of course, whether they get the job or not, that's a different question. But really, when we work on the resume, it's about getting you in the door. So that's what faangpath at a high level is. So there's a website. We've also created a very neat resume template that me and some of the other mentors, we got together and created a simple template to help people build their resume. And then of course on top of that, we have a very active community on LinkedIn as well as on Discord. So we just try to engage people, answer questions, queries, and really provide mentorship wherever it's missing.
All right. Well, I'll link the free template that you have in the description. People can take a look at that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Puneet, for joining me here for this video. Guys, if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments down below. And thank you so much.
Yeah, great talking to you, Ishan.
So yeah, guys, that was the podcast episode. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section down below. What are your questions? If you have any doubts, if you have any queries, you can reach out to Puneet as well. I'll leave his social handles in the description. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram as well. Make sure that you share this video with your friends. Hit that like button. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And let me know, should I do a live resume review? And if you've watched this video completely, just let me know in the comment section by just saying I watched till the very end. Thank you so much. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.